I get you guys to see if you can scan this for me?
Can you make it bigger? Can you make
This is the best we can do at being agile people. Does that work? Okay. All right. Bit more? We're ready? How are we going? Yeah, I can try.
just for you, Rami?
Does that work? Use of PC. Killer of me. Huh? Yeah?
Good?
All right, are we on? Okay.
Can I turn this off? Stretch on?
Yeah.
So people can see.
All right, first question. What? Yeah, sure. You know what? All right, first question. What percentage of 12-year-olds have at least 2 social media accounts? All right. What we might do, we might keep the stats for a little bit after, and we might just start with the session, so I'm not holding you guys up. Okay, so it gives me great joy to introduce Father Carlos Farag, who's a dedicated and compassionate parish priest at St. George's Coptic Orthodox Church in Kensington, Sydney. Renowned for his unwavering commitment to spiritual guidance and community service, Father Carlos has been a beacon of hope and inspiration for many within his community and beyond. His sermons, known for their depth and relatability, have touched the hearts of many, encouraging them to deepen their faith and live. All right, Father Carlos. Thank you.
This one?
Yes, please. But I was told not on your cross because it moves. Yeah.
Help me, please.
Is there another one? No. Okay, so I'll just do it this way.
Thank you. Beautiful. And this is my pocket. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, one God, Amen. Glory be to the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, one God, Amen. First of all, I would like to thank the Fathers of the Church for their kind invitation and for letting me participate in today's liturgy and in this beautiful platform. When I read the invitation of Abuna Anthony and the structure of the program and the way they introduced me, they said he's an expert in parenting. I'm not an expert in parenting, and I'm far away from being expert. But I'm someone who believes in the following. There is no such a thing called perfect parent. They didn't exist yet. They don't exist yet. Parenting is a journey where you inherit a lot of traits from your previous models, who sometimes become a good influence, and quite often they have a lot of weaknesses. And then you reflect, and you try to always reflect and learn and face the challenges of a very fast evoluted world. The evolution in this world is going super beyond our way of catching up. And the more we live into the two numbers, 24, 25, and eventually in the 30, 35, and by the way, 35 is not far away from here, it's another 9 years. The evolution would be incredibly high, and the challenges would be far beyond our imagination. But, and this is the point, you shouldn't be very scared. You shouldn't be very worried. You don't live an anxious life. You don't have to be an anxious parent. I believe in the following. In life, we have 3 boxes. The first box is called the past. The second box called the present. And the third one is the future. Past, present. And we move between these 3 rooms, like 3 rooms. You move here and there. Some of us live too much in the past. And some of us, especially the younger moms and dads, live a lot in the future. So what is the past? Past is a school of failures and expensive lessons that you have committed in your life. Can I walk? Can you hear me? Or I have to hold because I'm restless. I'm one of those restless people. So I have to take the mic in my hand. Okay. Is that better? Yeah. Yeah. I like to walk around. So the past is that where we all made mistakes. And the past should not dictate our future. Right? You agree? So the past is a school. You reflect. I reflect a lot on my mistakes as a parent. One of the lessons I learned, I'm going to share some stories, and then I'm just going to give you a bit of introduction, and I would like to encourage questions. I think we learn by questions. We share experience rather than showing you slides and slides and slides and slides. And yeah, I can do that. I've got a lot of material with me, but I rather interact with you. We learn from each other. One time I was inviting very important guests in my house back in the days when I was civilian, before wearing the black. And they were sort of kind of very important VIPs in my company back then. Used to entertain them. And we were sitting in the ground floor and kids in the second level upstairs in the bedroom. And for some reason, the 2 girls start to giggle and throw things at each other, which is absolutely normal for a 6 and a 5 years old girls. Creating a lot of noise, and then they got the dog, and the dog started jumping, and it was a chaotic situation upstairs, which is, again, normal. But because of the pressure of those VIPs, I reacted. So I went upstairs, and I rebuked the kids, and that was a very bad choice. And all of what I have seen is the 2 girls. I mean, this is a very important lesson in my life. They went to the bed and they covered their head with the cover, and that's it. So I really was very upset with myself. What happened? So I went to the bathroom, I looked in the mirror, and I repeated without making the voice, and I looked at my face, and my face was scary. And from that moment onward, I made a vow to myself. I will always have a welcoming, assuring, simple, nice face in front of my kids. So we learn from the past. We learn from the past, but we don't live in the past, right? So the past is a school that you learn from. What about the future? The future is a school of hope and planning and optimism, not a school of being anxious and super anxious all the time about every single change in the world. That's not your job. That's not your job. See, in parenting, sometimes you take God's job and you don't do your own job. Do your homework and don't do God's homework. Leave God to look after the world. Leave God to take care of the world and nature and everything. But make sure you do your homework, because God is not going to do your homework. So you don't live in the future. You don't become super anxious in the future, because if you live in the future, you become one of those parents who are super anxious, and that's not good for your kids. It's infectious. What about the present? This is where you should be. Doing what? Cherishing, practicing gratitude, and enjoying those kids before they leave you. They will leave you soon. Soon they will leave you. And you will say, oh, I did not do this, I did not do that, I missed on this, I missed on that. And that's what you should be living now, in this present, in this present. Few months ago, last year, beginning of last year, I was walking with my elder daughter on nice holiday. We go together as a family, all of us together, and they make sure that I will be with them. And I said, Ange, what is your biggest challenge in life? And she said, Dad, my life is a lot of things jammed and crammed in a very small room. Too much happening in my life. And I said, what is your biggest challenge? She said, I can't have time to pray. I would love to pray, but I can't. And I felt there's something wrong with that answer, because we were not created like this. I don't think God's plan for us to live like this. No, I'm sorry. This is your plan, not God's plan. So I said, let me address this issue. And I started thinking deeply, there must be balance in our life. God created life with balance. Day and night, balance. Animals, balance. Ecology, balance. Oxygen, nitrogen. Everything in the world is a balance. Everything God created in the world with a balance. And what do we do as humans? We take this balance and we become distortion. You work too hard. You spend nights working. You don't sleep. You break the balance. And this is coming back with a problem. And this is where I started to think about that book that I'm going to just introduce you, and then we move. The Balance Beam. What is the balance beam? It's a call to instate balance in our life, to instate harmony in our life. A lot of things that we will say today, you have to authorize it. You have to authenticate it. You have to put the PIN number. You will get a lot of ideas, but you have to act upon. I mean, listening is nice, but parenting is difficult, challenging. You have to do things. You have to become courageous. You have to change things in your life. You don't accept the reality of the kids being distant from you. You don't accept those things. You just need to initiate change. Initiate change. And this is when the journey becomes much better, much better. Today, I would like to focus, and we already lost 15 minutes, so I have another 30 minutes. Is like correct? Another 30 minutes. On 3 phrases. Because talking about, if you are here today to listen to techniques to teach you how to overcome the media, and that's like Goliath. That's like Goliath. If you the phones and these machines and the world of this is Goliath today. They're much bigger than you. Who you are? Who you are to overcome this? I don't think we can ever overcome this. If you focus too much on this, this is a lost battle. Forgive me, I don't waste time. I mean, if we're here today to teach the kids to control this, you'll never be able to control this. I'm sorry. Look at you at home. How many hours you're holding this in your hand? Come on. Are you serious? Are you for real? You want to control this? And every time your kids come to you, hey, Baba. Yes, Baba. Yes, Mama. And you're there already. You're consumed there. You can't control it. It's like being against Goliath. Yes, it is Goliath. What David did. This is how you need to enrich. You become David at home. Don't fight like this. How did David do? He said, you come to me and I come to you with the name of the God of the hosts. This is your job at home, to become David. This is how you will win. You can't win this battle on your own. And today I would like to focus with you on 3 words. That's what I would like to do. Number 1, faith, modeling, and empowerment. Faith, modeling, empowerment. These are 3 crucial words in your journey as a parent. Faith, modeling, empowerment. I want to spend my allocated space after the permission of my fathers on these 3 words. Faith. I'd like to start with faith. Can I be quite honest with you? I would like to be very honest with you because I don't think we can achieve progress unless we have clarity and talk. I can bring you nice slides, beautiful, but I would like to be talking from heart to heart, from heart to heart. It's a game of faith. Our time, your children's time, is an era of faith, where faith will diminish gradually. Faith will become weakened gradually. Faith will dissolve gradually. Live their world. You live at home, you live at church, you're protected. You have got fences around you everywhere. But look at that poor kid in a society that does not recognize faith. That the society attacks faith. The society degrades faith. How would that kid fight back? Who will talk to the kids about their faith? Who will enrich their faith? Who will increase their faith? Who will make them sure that my faith is correct, mom and dad is correct, I'm in the right direction, Sunday school is correct? Who is going to do this? You, mom and dad at home. If you don't do it, do not expect the world to do it. Nobody will do it. So faith is the most important game changer in this era. Yes, they will fall into temptation. Yes, they will open something they shouldn't. All this will come. All this will come your way. All these challenges is coming your way. But use those challenges as a platform of establishing faith. Families' challenges are the most productive way of building up the right path. Failures are the most important and precious lessons in building up your kids. So use those opportunities as platform to launch into a deeper and much more meaningful faith. Let me ask you a question. And I would like someone to volunteer nicely to answer my question. And I'm gonna pick up the volunteer. I would like to see George answering me. So I picked my volunteer already. George, if I ask you the following question, and please do not give me the model answer. Give me what is in your heart. What is your ultimate goal and dream for your kids? How many kids do you have, George? Two. How old?
10 and 13.
10 and 13. So what is the end of the journey for you, for your kids? What is your ultimate dream?
For them to kiss Jesus' feet.
So George answered to kiss Jesus' feet, like to be in his kingdom. This is where you start. That's where you start the journey. If this is your objective, and I hope this is your objective, I hope you're not one of those people allured in this world by too much noise and light. So if your dream And that's my dream and passion, that one day I would be in his kingdom, surrounded by my kids, by my grandkids, by my congregation, by my fellow priests, by my fathers, by my friends and everything. You start now on that objective. So put that objective and work backward in every situation, in every challenge, in every argument, in every fall, in every... That's where you start. So let me start with a couple of points. I already lost another half an hour. See, the topic is so big, but I'm just planting some seeds. Today is just throwing, the sower went to sow. Today we're throwing some seeds, and as Jesus Christ said, and hopefully sow. The first point, faith. We don't learn faith. We don't read about faith. We don't watch videos about faith. We live by faith. We become justified by faith. This is how we live the faith. Faith is something you instill in your life and the children's life every day. A drop of faith. Every day, a drop of faith. Every day, a drop of faith. Drop of faith. How do kids learn faith? How kids learn faith? By modeling. Modeling. I'll give you two stories, quick two stories. You claim and you proclaim that you're very proud of your faith, and our faith is the most authentic, and this and this and that. And then what happened? The first problem coming your way is, what happened to your reaction? Where's your faith? Look at the mirror. Look at the mirror. The whole house become turbulent. The little problems. So what is the message for the kids? What's the message about your faith? Where is your faith? Where is your faith? Show me your faith. Where is your David against Goliath? David didn't have one single fact of ground to believe that he can overcome. You know how big was Goliath? It was approximately 3 meters height and 1.5 meters wide. It's like a tank. Man, his breast cover was 95 kilograms, carrying 95 kilograms and walking. The speed of his arrows was like 10, 15 kilos. And how was David old? He was 13. How old is a 13? Like year 6 boy? How old is a year 6 boy? Like that high? And 3 meters? And this armed tank coming his way? There's nothing to say he can defeat him. There is nothing. But he believed. That's faith. That's the benchmark of faith. So you need to show your faith. Express your faith. Believe in your faith. Reflect on your faith. Your faith is your biggest insurance policy. Believe in God, right? Believe in yourself as a parent. The fact that you are sitting here today, I would love, and I wish when I was back, young like you and beautiful like you, we had these platforms. We never had these platforms back in our days. Never. I wish we had this. I wish we had this knowledge. I wish we had all of this. You're rich. Guys, you're so rich. You're blessed. You're blessed. You're rich and blessed. Reflect on this reflect on your love. Sometimes your love is the biggest insurance that will make you jump mountains. Your love to your kids is something very strong. Makes you jump on mountains. Makes you put up with a lot of things to save your kids. Reflect on your faith. That's faith. I learned it. This is my last one, and then we'll start receiving questions for the next 10 minutes. I learned my biggest lesson of faith from my father. My father gave me the best lesson of faith in my life in a particular story. I'm going to share with you. Dad used to serve in St. Mary Church, and they built a new church. And they built the cold shell, and they ran out of money to finish the job. And part of the design to have chandeliers in the church. And one day Dad said, I'm going to to the factory to buy the chandeliers. He was with other two people. And I said, how much do you have money? He said, we have 250 pounds. Back then in the days, that would never get you anything. But he said, I believe in God, and I believe St. Mary will do the job. And I laughed, and I mocked him, and I made fun of him. I said, well, how come that? Come on, be serious. I mean, if you say I have 5,000 pounds, I will believe you. But he said, watch. You will see. You will see what St. Mary will do. And I didn't believe him. So he went to Cairo, to the factory of the chandeliers. And back then it was belonging to a Muslim guy. His name is Asfour. Hag Ahmed Asfour. So they went into the factory, him and the other three people, walking around. And this Hag Ahmed saw them from his glass office like this and watched these people walking. And he said, call these people in. I want to have a word with them. Who are you? Please come in, have a cup of coffee, this and this and that. What are you here for? They were here for the chandeliers in the church. And they said to them, how many? Da, 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 da. Which bread? Da, 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 da. And how many? He got everything loaded on a truck. And they said, but we can't pay you. He said, it's already paid. It's already paid. St. Mary paid for this. And he asked his technician to go on the truck. And he said, I don't want you to come back today unless everything is in place in the ceiling. And Dad walked to me like a warrior, looked at my eyes, and he said, I told you. From that moment, faith was never a question for me. This is how you model. This is how you believe. And you reflect, and you show, and you instill, and you cement. You know, when you cement concrete, this is becoming like concrete in my life. And I never doubted faith. So being a parent is a lot of modeling. Not talking, not giving instructions, not shutting the kids, not shouting at the kids, not frowning at their face, not rejecting the kids, modeling. If you would like to have them love, model love. That's the first one I would like to share with you. Any questions? Any questions, please? Yes, happy.
According to your story, you went through tribulation and then you remembered that your dad had the faith. But nowadays, life is so easy and kids doesn't really go through any big challenges or so they don't see that big situations that get a mark in life.
I know what you mean. Thank you, Happy. But you and I have wealth of stories. So in a good night, we don't have always to say, come and read the Bible. Come and read the Bible. This is becoming too cliche for the kids now. They don't respond to this. But in a nice meal at night, I can share stories like this. You and George have a lot of stories to share. And this become, trust me, they listen, they store, and they keep it in their head. So embrace a family time at home where you can share your previous experience, and this is becoming like a benchmark for them, a reference point in their life. So that could be a night of stories rather than a night of all of us gazing in those screens. So we can suggest one day a week, we have a free screen day. And this has to come with agreement, with absolute agreement, not pushing, not imposing, not using my authority, but we say Sunday is a screen-free day. And the whole family agree. Sunday is a screen-free day. We continue what we've been in the church. We carry on. Mom and dad, you put your phones in the locker. Kids, put your phone in the locker, and you take it back the next day. So what do we do in this day? We share stories like this. We enrich the kids. We discuss, we talk. Be creative in the way you are a parent. Be creative. You have to be creative. But don't, this is how you win the battle. Other questions? Other questions? And I think, please tell me, Abuna, because I'm very conscious about the time, because I have beautiful speakers behind me. So if we have finished, please tell me this is the end of the first session. Yeah.
What was, just with the third point that you put empowerment, what was?
Empowerment, that's a beautiful point. What I've noticed, the difference between the past model of parenting and the modern, back in our days, and I think until recently, parenting was feed them, protect them, and guide them. Feed them, protect them, and make sure they don't go outside and think for them. But that's not good enough these days. That's a failure model. It doesn't work these days. So what is empowerment? I send my kids away, and kids will go into areas that you are beyond your reach, in the midst or amidst of a lot of challenges. How can you make sure that the kid will act and believe and perform as per the values that you as a parent put together? There's only one way: empower the kid. And I think the word empowerment now, as a parent, should be your focus. How can I empower my kids? How can I empower his critical thinking to challenge things, to come up with solutions? How I can empower his knowledge to challenge things, to come into... so this is empowering, giving him knowledge. How can I role play with my kids on situations that they will come through? How can I empower my kids to make a right choice and right decision? This is empowerment. Empowerment is the key factor. Don't withhold the information. Don't control. Empower them and let them experience and let them make mistakes and let them trust you that you're not gonna destroy the world for their failures. You're a tolerant father. You believe in challenges. You believe in when they fall that I will raise them up again. We're together. We're partners. We're not against each other. We're on the same page. That's empowerment. And love, through love, empowerment can become so meaningful. And I think when you empower your kids, there will come time in their life, they will say, don't worry, Dad, I know exactly what I'm doing. And it's based on authentication. It's based on a life that you have really toiled and labored. And you can only do this through time. Give them time. Kids need your time. Kids need you around. Kids, when they act badly because they want to attract your attention, I need you around. This is how kids behave. They don't want to challenge your authority. You don't need to react negatively, but always reflect on yourself and your behavior and your actions. And that's what I meant by empowerment. Yeah. And I think my time is, so who's controlling the time? Yeah.
Any more questions for Abuna?
Before.
Yeah, there's one over there. Take a few questions.
Yeah. So we've got, can you guide me how long I'm keeping?
Sure. Say about 5 minutes.
5 minutes, okay.
More questions?
Yeah, 2 more questions.
In regards to the modeling for the kids, I know how important it is to try to be a good model for the kids, but it's challenging because we as a father and mother, we as a person, we still have our own weaknesses that we have to work on. And then after this and of that, we have to be the good model for kids who we have to be cautious about boys, their need to learn as well, which at the end of the day will be sometimes like time wasting and too much. So I know that we have to keep trying, but is there any solutions for kids to become better than their parents? Like how they are?
Look, to be quite honest, I'm very grateful for you're a very honest person. And thank you for being honest. We invest in everything. You invest in your career, right? You study, continue. What is your career like? What is your... Medicine. You're the last one in the world should ask this question. How many years you've been studying? And how many years? Because all my family, brothers and sisters, are doctors. So I grew up in a family of medicine. I know exactly what medicine. It's a non-stop study, right? It's a commitment. You marry the medicine. Yeah, correct? Yes. And then you should be able, and I'm just going to be, as much as you are clear and honest, I will be very upfront. If you invest 5% of your time that you have invested in medicine to learn about parenting, learn about their needs, learn about the body language, learn about your own flows, learn about the mindset, learn about your role, learn about the different layers of parenting. Parenting has a multi layers. We act upon the surface because we're not bothered to go deeper. But parenting has multi layers of actions that we are invited to. Go deeper in your parenting knowledge. Reflect on your mistakes. Understand the lessons. With parenting, you always have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 options in your hand to throw away. We only use one particular option and we keep repeating. But remember, in parenting, you have 6 cards in your pocket. You never bother to get those cards out. Spend time. Be emotionally intelligent with them. Understand their body. Get clues about them. Whenever my girls now ask me a question, Dad, what should we do with this? I said, give me a day or two. And I jump on and I learn and I ask. And I come back, I said, wow, Dad, you're amazing. I said, no, I'm not amazing. I just done my homework. Do your homework. Please do your homework as a parent. Can I be honest? Can I be very honest? And I don't expect you to bring me back here in Melbourne again after what I said. But I will say the following. Your job is not to provide only money and food for them. Your job is not to provide the best schools and the best t-shirts and clothes for them. Your job is not to provide the best cars for them or the best private schools for them. That's not your job. Your job is to make them an image for Christ. Because all of the above is good, but it's not the way to the kingdom. I'm sorry, it's not the way to his kingdom. The kingdom has a different passcode. You will never expect your child to become humble unless one day you say to your kids, I am sorry, I raised you in this and that was wrong. Please forgive me. And the kid will look at you and say, wow, Dad is saying sorry. I was wrong in that. This is how they learn humility. This is how you do it. So learn about these things. Reflect. If you had a problem in the past, reflect. Discuss with your wife. We were not on the same page on that situation. We acted differently. How can we become on the same page? Compromise positively. The word compromise always have a negative connotation, but sometimes compromise for the sake of the peace, for the sake of the harmony. Compromise. Sometimes pick your battle. Not every battle you should win. Sometimes let them win the battle. Let them win the battle. Let them get away with it. It's not a game changer. This is how you reflect on your past. But study, learn, practice, ask, be part of a group, create your own groups. Make a regular meeting of fathers. Invite people to talk. Educate yourself. There's so much wealth, and I'm the last. I've got experts here to talk about things much better than me. I'm a very primitive dad who made a lot of mistakes in his past, and that's how I learned. So do your homework. We have to do our homework. Don't run away from doing your homework. Your homework is the most important thing. Kids will not become. Back in the days, they used to tell us the following: "ارميهم في الكنيسة," throw them in the church. I'm sorry. That's the beginning. That's the beginning. But do your homework at home. At home. And I think I finished my time because I can talk to the, yeah.
We'll have another session at
Yes.
the end where you can ask your
Yeah,
questions.
thank you.
So hold,
Thank
hold
you.
that
Thank
thought.
you.
Thank you, Habib. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Abuna's also kindly leaving each family today with one of his books. So thank you, Abuna, so much. We really do appreciate it. And it was a great start to our day today. Okay, we might hit slide over one more go. So if I can get you to get your phones out, please. And we'll go next slide. Pray to God this works. No matter how many times we ran through IT this morning, we still got it wrong. The QR code should pop up soon. Yes. I'll get you to just log in. Mary, leading our leaderboard. All right. Let's go next question. I'm going to see if this works. Okay, go this one. Yeah. Yes. All right, here we go. So, what percentage of teenage boys are exposed to web pornography? Is it appearing on your side? Yeah? Okay. Next slide, please. Yeah. Okay. 69% is the answer. Next question. Okay, what percentage of girls are posting nude or semi-nude images online? What do you guys think? All right, next slide. The answer is 22%. Next question, and the final one. What percentage of youth suicide are directly linked to cyberbullying? Thoughts? All right, next slide. Thank you. The answer is 25%. Now, I'm not showing you these stats to shock you or create any fear, but I really want you to remember these numbers as we go through today's sessions. And just think about how we can protect our kids from this, because it's real. This is happening out there. So just keep that at the back of your mind, okay? Now, our next session is with Dr. Raouf. As you guys know, Dr. Raouf is a GP at Epping Family Medical Centre. Dr. Macca's professional expertise. No one likes their bio. No one. Go for it.
Thank you so much.
I'll just get your presentation up. And this is working, by the way, if you want to use that. So,
Very humble.
Can we use the presenters?
yeah, presenter. Oh, it's just gone the wrong way around. We'll just swap it. Sounds like one.
Does it need to be connected here, or was connected to?
What's that? Sorry?
Can we?
The slide changer? Or...
No, I was just wondering.
Oh, you want to take
move
the
it.
laptop? Yeah, sure. Yeah. What do you want?
Just in there.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for coming. Thanks for sacrificing this kind of probably the first 18-degree day in Melbourne Of course, I know that everybody wants to run out. Maybe we can have lunch out to get some of the sun before the weather changes. But it's a sacrifice that we have to make as parents. As I said, we have to kind of make an effort, and this is the first effort we're making. So thanks for coming today. Thanks for inviting me, of course. It's always a blessing to be involved with St. George, and it's always be a blessing to be involved with the families and try to learn together and share together. And it is a crucial topic that you and I and every single one of us is facing, and we have to be proactive about it. It's not going to happen by itself. We have to discuss and talk. So thanks for Gina, Anthony, and the team for arranging this. And hopefully this will be a start of a series of discussions that we can together start brainstorming and see what we can do now and for the future. The sources that I'm going to jump on and use to discuss a few points with you will be based on some of the books that I think are very beneficial to all of us. And I think that having a read of one of them or all of them will be great for every parent that have got kids in an age. Just to get a show of hands, do you know the term digital native and digital immigrant and digital alien? Have you heard these terms before? So digital native are fathers and mothers that were born, or people that are born 29 years and less. So who are the mothers? Let's say the fathers that are less than 29 years of age. Can I see a show of hands? Okay, so there's no digital native people. Native as they are born in the period and the era of the internet. So none of us. Okay, what about digital immigrants? So the immigrants are not natives. They have migrated to the digital age that we're in. So it's from 29 to 45. Show of hands. Okay, so the majority are digital immigrants, and people like myself are a digital alien. So I'm an alien. So just bear with me. Younger than that. So these books are very beneficial. Reset Your Mind by Victoria Dunkley. She's fantastic. I would advise also The Anxious Generation. This guy, Jonathan Haidt, he's very beneficial, and he's a psychologist. Victoria Dunkley, she's a psychiatrist. Dopamine Nation, Anna Lemke, she's of course the book, The Whole Brain Child. I'm sure you've come across it. Daniel Siegel, very beneficial books, and I recommend that you guys have a look at it. They're easy to get on PDF. So these are one of the sources that I'm going to use in discussing the repercussions of the digital age that we are facing now, and what we can do. Also, one of the sources I'm going to kind of jump on is my previous life. In a previous life, before I started working in Melbourne, I was working in neurology. So there's a bit of neurology that we're going to talk about today. And of course, we have to, these are some of the sources, so don't bother writing the source. I'm going to give you a handout, inshallah, at the end. The experience of serving in the church and seeing mothers and fathers and discussing problems that you guys face, that are the same problems that I face and all the families face, is something that I'm going to try to bring up today and see how we can benefit from it together. Not just my service, but also as a parent, I helped bring up two beautiful girls, helped my wife, Rasha. So these are the girls, Faith and Emma. Of course, they're much older than Emma, and a dog who was kind of trying to be converted to be some kind of fairy, but the dog is not happy. But the girls are. So these are the ones that we tried to do the best with, like when Carlos was saying. Some things that we tried, I'm going to pass on to you. Some things that we wish we had done, I'm also going to pass on to you. But also one of the sources I'm going to use is my story with addiction. So I'm going to use this session as a therapy session for myself, digital addiction. So that was 40 years ago. And my father was invited to work in Saudi Arabia. So he went to some remote area, not close to any of the attractions like Burj Khalifa and Dubai and Emirates. It was in this remote part of the east side of Saudi Arabia, a place called Dammam. He was an accountant in an American company. So we would stay at home in Cairo for the summer, for the school time, and we'd go to in Dammam for the summer break. So I was. So this is the first day for me and my brother in Saudi Arabia. We knew that there was nothing to be done, so I brought my books with me. I was a bit of a nerd at the time, just doing nothing but swimming and reading. I was swimming for the Ahli Club. He was very much into music, so he brought his Boney M and Chris de Burgh and Kiss. He was a fan of Kiss rock and roll. So we brought our CDs and books with us. And we knew that it's going to be months of doing nothing but reading and listening to music. And lo and behold, in the same apartment that we were staying in, there was another Lebanese, two young kids, Marwan and Mazen, and they introduced us to the beautiful world of Nintendo 2600. So that was my first thing. Does anybody? It's too old for you. Does anybody relate to that? No. Really? I thought we'd be the only one who knows what this machine is. You can show that to your kids and see if anyone can think that. Anyway, so that was the first month of summer. 3 months down the track of playing Pong, only Pong. 18 hours a day of Pong. Needless to say that this was the before, this is the after. I'm not going to show you my real photo, but quite a few kilograms later, I was exactly like this kid after playing Pong. My swimming coach kind of was shocked, and he kind of, when I saw him, he kind of gave me a stern talking to and said, I have to rethink my life choices. But I was probably out of the team for a while. But this is something that is not easy, like Abuna said. It is like fighting a life. It's not easy. So even though I was prepared, but when you see a game of Pong and you see this line going up and down and you're trying to kick this kind of white screen, it's just like this mouse who's looking and trying to find this kind of piece of cheese. It's very hard, and our kids go through that. And that's why today I want to talk to you about this fight that we have, the battle that we have in our hands. So I'm going to try in the next half an hour, and hopefully we'll have a good 10 minutes for questions. I'm going to try to achieve three things. Number one, I want to tell you the mechanism in the brain. So I'm going to give us a beautiful meal. So I'm going to try to go into a medical side. So we're going to talk about how this happens on a brain level, so you understand how tough it is and how hard a big Goliath we're fighting on a mental level. I'm going to also try to tell you what the problem is and how grave it is, and reflect on some of the statistics that Gina told us. And then I'm going to, hopefully by the grace of God and the blessing of St. Mary's fast, give you 5-pronged attack, some suggested things that we can do, reflecting on the 3 points that I want to talk to. We're going to just fall in the same vein. So if your son or daughter, if your child is very angry all the time, if your child is very bored all the time, if your child is revved up all the time, if your son or daughter prefers to stay in their room all the time, if when summertime comes and they are staying up all night and sleeping all day, and it's very hard to get them to engage with the family, if you find that they are always anxious, if you think that they are finding it hard to make friends, if they are in low mood, if they are very snappy, you're in the right place, because there's a good chance that they will be suffering from electronic screen syndrome.
Change that?
No, just for the streaming. This one's for streaming. That's for the...
Sure.
Sorry, everyone.
Thank you, Buna.
So this syndrome has been kind of, or this name has been coined by Victoria Dunkley from the book that I told you, showed in the first screen, Resetting Your Child's Brain. She states that the child exhibits symptoms related to mood, anxiety, cognition, behavior, social interaction due to hyperarousal, being aroused with media, with phones, with iPads, with Pong. That causes significant dysfunction in school, at home, or with peers. Typical signs, and I'm sure that you will all relate to a lot of these signs. Not that your kids are addicted, but there is a problem with us and also with our homes. So not just the children, we suffer these symptoms as well. Typical signs and symptoms mimic chronic stress, sleep deprivation, include irritability, depression, anxiety, excessive tantrums, low frustration, tolerance, low tolerance, poor self-regulation, disorganized behavior, and so on and so forth. So how does this happen? What happens in the brain? So we'll do a quick run through a little bit of neurology and pathophysiology and anatomy, just for you to understand how this came by. So it's not just you, it's all of us. So this is quickly how the brain works. There's an area in the brain called the mesocortex, just around the thinking part with the frontal brain. And then the bit that is in green, it's called the substantia nigra, where some of the basic brain function takes place. And then you've got the mesolimbic system. The mesolimbic system is a system where you've got synapses happening, and this is where all the good juices go through. So since we're born, a reward system starts to happen in our brain. You look and smile in mom's face, and mom smile back, and you get a reward. You stand up and take a couple of steps, and dad say, hey, and he claps, and you feel good about that. You get a little bit of a reward. You build a couple of blocks, put 2 blocks on top of each other, and dad claps and mom claps, and they all jump and down. You get a little bit of dopamine, which is the reward. You go and do potty in the toilet, which is a big thing in every household. And if you've had kids, you know that this is a big day, memorable day. And you get this big hooray, and everybody's happy because there's no accidents anymore. And mom and dad say hooray, and you get a bit of reward. And this kind of sets up this reward system. You do something good, you get this reward. So this, every single time you do something good, you get this dopamine hit in your body, in your brain, and this dopamine makes you feel, I want to do that again. I got a good reaction. I want more. So this dopamine is the neurotransmitter of I want more, the anticipation. Oh, if I do that, what they're going to do, how they're going to react. So this anticipation is this hormone or this enzyme neurotransmitter called dopamine. And it works gradually. So you get a bit of dopamine, and then the dopamine settles down. Because the brain, like Abuna said, everything is balanced. Abuna Cross was saying that everything is balanced. The brain is balanced as well, because God has created us to be in homeostasis, in balance. So you get a hit of dopamine, the enzyme for anticipation and motivation and wanting more. And then you reach a little bit of a height, and the body says, no, that's too much of a buzz. That's too much of a buzz. And you get kind of red alarm lights happening everywhere. And the body sends another enzyme called gamma aminobutyric acid, and this suppresses brakes. So the dopamine is the accelerator, and the GABA is the brakes, and the brakes secretion, and things settle down, and you get the satisfaction, and you get some serotonin happening, and you feel, that's good. I'm satisfied. And then you get something happening again, and you get the dopamine, and then the GABA, and then the serotonin, and this keeps happening, and then you get this feeling of satisfaction. That's a normal situation. Enter media. This buzz, I was talking to John before we started, about this buzz that you get, and our kids get, when they scroll, or when they go on Shorts, or they go on Facebook, or they go on Instagram. And you get this shot after shot. Every single time they see a clip, you get a shot of dopamine. And then, just like a roulette machine, just like gambling, just like the slot machines, why do you think people on the slot machines keep scrolling, or pressing the button? It's not because they win. They know they're not going to win. But this anticipation of winning is what makes them go back and again, despite how much they lose, they go back to slot machines because of this anticipation. You're waiting and you're hoping and waiting and hoping because of this remote possibility that all the lines will kind of go together and you will win something. The colors attract you, the sounds attract you, the smell of the place, the atmosphere of the place, the sound of the place, all that pushes the dopamine into your system. The same thing happens with the smartphone and the digital electronic devices that we have. It's another slot machine. Every single time you scroll, you get a shot of dopamine. Every single time you get a like or a thumbs up or kudos if you're on Strava or a tag. Somebody tags you, somebody comments, somebody shares your photo. You get this buzz, this adrenaline, and then you get a bath of adrenaline. It's not just to feel good about something good that you've done. No, every single time you scroll one every second. So every second, every 2 seconds, every 3 seconds, every minute, you're getting a rush of dopamine and your body gets flooded. So the brain says, that's too much, let's increase the receptors. So the brain increases the dopamine receptors and you're not getting the buzz anymore. So the brain, to get the same buzz, gets you to scroll more and more, and you keep chasing yourself and you get into this vicious circle of you engage in some action, increases dopamine, you feel a good thing, while you just get the satisfaction, the GABA is getting into your system, you scroll again, you re-engage in dopamine, you get some stimulation, and you want more dopamine, and you keep chasing yourself. And the kids keep chasing themselves, and they keep going in. You see the kid, and you're having a dinner together, and they're on the phone doing nothing, basically scrolling nothing, looking at kind of cat photos and dog photos and Facebook, because they're chasing this dopamine hit, and they're not getting it. So they're not happy because they're chasing this buzz, and they're not getting the buzz because of addiction. And it continues happening with them, and you get the opposite of it. So you get the quick hit, and then you scroll, and then somebody likes your photo, and you feel good about yourself. And then you look at other ones and say, oh, nobody looked at this photo, nobody gave me a like, and you feel bad. And then you get another like, and you feel good. And then you look, and you notice that some other people are going away for a holiday, and you feel bad. Every single thing on these machines adds a level of stress. We were talking before we start about how the slot machines are designed. John was telling me, they were talking to somebody in the field. They are designed to give you the exact level where you are chasing, but you're not losing hope. You're chasing the win, but you're not losing hope because you think, oh, it's coming now. That's why people sit on the chairs all the time. Our kids are doing the same thing. They're spending hours chasing this like, chasing this comment. And every single thing on the social media, whether it's Instagram or Facebook, is making them stressed more and more and more. And they're getting more unhappy and more bored. Because no matter how interesting a dad you are, no matter how a fun mom you are or try to be, no matter how beautiful the weather outside, nothing you can do that will give them the same dopamine hit that Facebook will do. Even though it's a stressful thing, it stresses them so much, but they are hoping for this hit. The first stressful is this highlight reel. We're talking about the highlight. We're going to Egypt. I was talking about what we see on Facebook. One of the major stresses from social media is this highlight reel. Our kids go on Facebook or social media, and they see the highlights of everybody else's life. Think, why am I so a loser? Everybody is in Thailand and Bali and going to Egypt and skiing down the Alps. And I'm sitting then in my room under my covers looking at this phone. I'm such a loser. And my family is such a loser. Why don't they take me anywhere? Look at these kids in the Olympics with all these abs. And look at me trying to fight these weights. I cannot lose my weight. I'm such a loser. You see the highlights and you look at yourself and you compare and say, I'm wasting my life. And they're just 12 years old. They think they're not going anywhere because of this highlight reel. The second issue is this social media currency. Your kids are now getting their value, especially the ones that are on Facebook or social media. They're getting their value from how many likes they have, how many friends they have, how much attention they get. And if they post something and they don't get enough attention, which equals likes, which is the social currency, they're not smart enough, they're not beautiful enough, they're not good enough, they're not interesting enough, they're not skinny enough, and the problems keep happening, and the problems keep deepening. And they end up looking and saying, oh, my kids went out, the friends went out, my colleagues went out, they didn't include me, and they end up with this third stressor, which is this fear of missing out. And all these three are just normal media. I'm talking to you about the normal, not the creepy media, not the creepy social media, not the creepy Facebook. I'm not talking about the dangerous stuff. The dangerous stuff is another story. I'm just telling you the normal stuff will produce all these stresses. And that's why it's a major problem. And the reflection and the result of this major problem affects our kids from all points of view, not just from the way they relate to us, not just from how they connect with us or the lack of thereof, because they don't want to do any with us and they don't want to have a bar of us because the phones are much more interesting. It's their mental health, physical health, and psychological health. So these statistics are from our Royal Children's Hospital in Melbourne about proven effects. I'm not telling you about possible effects. We're talking about proven effects that has been studied and has shown that people younger than 5 years old have got issues with weight. I've got a patient that is 5 years old coming, the patient, 5 years old, the kid, not a patient, a kid, coming and saying, I'm fat, 5 years old. I don't think I thought about my weight until I was like 25. Seriously. Except for the time when my coach told me you can't swim anymore because you're too fat for swimming. Motor and cognitive development. Kids cannot do anything. They can scroll. They've got a very strong thumb, but they cannot do much at all. They don't want to do much at all. Screen time in this age group may be associated with the following problems. Emotional problems in girls, we're going to talk about that in a sec. Family functioning, weight issues, diet, behavioral problems, anxiety and depression specifically. This is really interesting. From Yale School of Medicine, a research study of American teens aged between 12 and 15 showed that those who are on social media over 3 hours a day, and this is a very low estimate because most of our kids are more, judging from what I talk to kids about in Sunday school, and I see the average is definitely more than 3 hours. 3 hours a day will increase the risk of having negative mental health outcomes. And I see that, I kid you not, every single day in my clinic. At work, I see that every single day. And the mothers come to me and tell me, I found this, my kid is suffering this, my kid is suffering that. And I'm seeing things that I never used to see, except one every blue moon. I'm seeing that every single week. One of the problems I'm seeing now with a scary increase in number is what I'm going to tell you about. So if you're triggered by self-harm, please look away. This is something that I see all the time. Self-harm. I used to see self-harm before 2010, where everything erupted. I used to see kids cutting, mostly girls, but boys as well, once every 6 months, 12 months. Now I'm seeing 1 or 2 kids every single week, every week. And mom will come and say, I never knew this happened. And I'm telling you honestly, I was talking to John, I was saying, these are not the parents that are kind of nonchalant in La La Land. I'm talking to you about parents that are very involved and very there. And she said, I took my girl because it was her birthday and she was trying something new on. And I never see her putting the clothes on, but this was a time where she was in the shop and she was trying a new blouse on. And I saw her arms and I noticed this marks on her arms and legs. And he asked the child, and the child says, I'm just so stressed. I'm so anxious. And they feel when they cut that they get a little bit of release, a bit of, and then the anxiety comes back again. And I'm not saying that this is only due to social media and phones, but statistically proven, it plays a big role. So this is from the Journal of Adolescent Health. It says, rates of depression, self-harm, and suicide among adolescents in the United States have steadily increased over the last 10 or so years, particularly among adolescent girls. Smartphones and social media have been labeled by some as a likely culprit of the drop-off in well-being and in the increase in the incidence of self-harm. This is also statistics of self-harm. Ages 10 to 14. Boys have shown some increase as well, so it's not just girls, but just girls have gone just through the roof in the number of patients with self-harm. And it's something very hard to treat. I saw patients, and they are seeing a multitude of kind of medicals and paramedicals, myself, psychologists, psychiatrists, a big team, and it's very hard to treat because they see things on the media and they compare themselves and they hate themselves. And these are not kind of girls that are struggling with weight or struggling with performance or struggling with, no, they're normal girls like your kids and my kids. And you think to yourself, what's wrong? What are you upset about? I'm ugly. Compared to whom? In her mind, she's comparing herself to somebody on social media. She's got an image in her mind. I'm fat. I'm lazy. My eyebrows are not good. And they just get anxious and they start to cut. Also, the problem increases not just with self-harm, but all across the board with depression, with anxiety, with mood. You can see over the increase in the use will always show an increase in depression, anxiety. And that's not speculation. That's what you are living with, and that's what your kids are going through. We're just oblivious. This is also the incidence of ADHD. We used to talk about ADHD in the past very, very seldom. Now, and I'm sure that Rose will relate to that, every single mom, trust me, let's say every second mom, so I can be statistically, every second mom believes that her child has got ADHD. The doctors that work with ADHD, they are booked for like 7 years to come. And I'm talking about the dads, not the children. The mothers believe the dad has got ADHD and the children as well. Yes, true? And there has to be some connection. Actually, there is a clear connection between ADHD and electronic devices. Eating disorder, another problem. I work a lot with eating disorders because my daughter is a dietitian and she's got kind of interesting eating disorders. So I see a lot of eating disorders. And eating disorder also has shown a huge increase. There is a report done on a study with 33,000 girls that found that the incidence of eating disorders among children and young adults from 10 to 19 almost doubled. Eating disorder being anorexia, and bulimia, and obese. Boredom. The crisis time for every family is school holidays. Mom comes losing their mind because the kids are bored and don't know what to do. So crisis happens and they make a plan and they take him out, they take him to movies, but the kids are bored and they take it out on mom and dad. So what are we going to do? It's a problem. the problem of addiction, followed by the crash, more addiction, more crashing, and we keep going into vicious circle, leading to all these medical problems. So what can we do? Before I tell you what to do, or what we can do, I want to tell you just a couple of small things. Like Abu Bakr said, empower them. And I want you also, with the grace of God, to feel empowered by the Holy Spirit. So this is just one thing I want to tell you today. Because often we parent from fear. We're afraid all the time. We're afraid that the kids will hurt themselves, of course. We're afraid that the kids will not love us. Afraid that the kids will go wrong, will grow up wrong. Afraid that the kids we will lose control on our kids. We're afraid that we're making the wrong decisions. We're afraid of what people will say about what we do for our kids and what we say about us. We're afraid of how we will disappoint ourselves as being parents, and when the kids grow up, the reason that they have these complexes will be because of me. So we're always parenting from fear. I love the verse from Timothy, 2 Timothy. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power. This is not your power. This is the power of the Holy Spirit that has given you the authority to parent, to teach, to admonish, but mostly to love. And the power to love, when it's love, the power to love, of love and of sound mind. So this is what I want you to do. This is the first, before I tell you these points. Number one, don't parent of fear. Number two, I was talking to Gina before we start, is that most of us know it's a problem. And most of us have a plan or want to have a plan. Every single one of us want to start doing something. But unfortunately, there's a disconnect between what you're thinking now and what's going to happen tomorrow. There's a very interesting psychological term called acrasia. This acrasia is disconnect between your present self and your future self. So now, these people looking at me, the present self is saying, this is a problem. We have to do something about it. Our kids are being exposed to the media. This is dangerous. From tomorrow, we're going to make a plan. We're going to do 1, 2, 3. We're going to implement this. Rose said that. Abuna said this. We're going to start doing this, this, and that. That's your present self. Tomorrow, unfortunately, it's not your present self. Unfortunately, tomorrow is your future self. And your future self comes and says, and Ameli, that wasn't my decision. Yesterday is the one who decided that. I might delegate it to my other future self. I want the kids to love me. So today, we want to defeat this acrasia. I want you, with the grace of God, to make a decision and start implementing something from today. Don't make that another discussion that you feel good that you attended, but you did not work on it. Don't make that a feel-good day that you feel good about yourself, but no action is taken. Make a decision today and work on it today or tomorrow. This idea about having take-free Sunday, awesome. Let's do it. I'll tell you just a few points. Number one, restriction. So the plans, now that we know the problem and we know the source of the problem and we know what we need to do, I'm going to tell you 5 things that I think, by the grace of God, can help us together. Number one, restriction. And it's not as easy as you think. So Rose will tell us more about restriction, but These are statistics that have been recommended by at least 4 or 5 countries, at least 20, 30 studies. Number one, no screen time for children younger than 2 years. And I can tell you that almost every pram that comes into my room in the clinic have got this attachment where the phone is slot in or the iPad is slot in. It makes it easier for me because I can talk to the mother without the kids crying in the background. And I can almost give needles without the kids crying because the kids don't care. So I can give 2 needles, the kid looking at the screen like that, mesmerized, and I can go away immunizing them. So it's good for me, but definitely not good for the child. Not good at all. No screens at all, no screens, 0 screens. Actually, there are some kinders now that are not free, they are screen-free. And some schools in the States are screen-free now. They're going back to pen and paper. My goodness, pen and paper, it's prehistoric stuff. No more than 1 hour from 2 to 5. No more than 2 hours from 5 to 17. What? 5 to 17, 2 hours? Kids would kill me. That's a recommendation. And why is that important, 5 to 17? Statistics show that 9 to 17 is the most crucial time. There was a study that was done by the author of the second book, which is An Anxious Generation, John Haidt, where they looked at kids that are the sons and daughters of Japanese immigrants to the States. And they wanted to pick something just to see what age is very sensitive. Of course, the first 2-3 years are very, very sensitive, and then 9 to 17. And that's the whole idea of having no phone, no social media until 16, 17. So they looked at these kids to see what's the most tangible study they can do, and they studied phonetics, their language, their accent. So you found that kids that migrate to America, the kids of Japanese families, that migrate to America and go back to the States before 9 years old, they believe that they're Japanese, and they speak pure Japanese. Accent, no accent at all. Kids that go and stay in the States for 10, 12 years, and they go back before puberty, they have a bit of an American accent in their Japanese language, but they revert back easily. They forget about the accent. Kids that come, even if they come at 9, 10 years of age, and they go back after they're 16, so they basically stay in the States for 6, 7 years, from 9 to 17, only 6, 7 years, they never lose the accent. And they always believe they are American. So not just phonetically, but psychologically, they are set in a way. Even though that there is lots of neuroplasticity happening to all of us, even until 21, 22, sometimes 25, but this crucial age is so important. And that's why the restrictions are important in terms of exposure to screens and in terms of social media. So restrictions are important. But there's a caveat. Don't do it in a draconian way. No phones. Don't. Give me your Facebook account thing. This and that. It's not going to work. Number one, they are smarter than you, at least when it comes to tech. So, honestly, 7 out of 10 parents that have told me as a servant or told me as a doctor that no, my kids, like you said, no media until 16, 17. 7 out of 10 of these families, the kids have told me, of course we do have it, they just don't know about it. Honestly, 7 out of 10, not half, more than half. And the families are just, no. I said, no, لا يعني لا. Of course, they've got like multiple accounts. They go onto their school website and they do this and that, and they know how to trick you. So you need to be parenting from love. They need to understand where you're coming from. Parenting from fear always comes across in an unconvincing way. So number one, restriction. Number two, the family. 4 things. Be involved, be informed, Be clear and be authoritative. Have the power of the Holy Spirit in you. Be involved. Be involved in every single thing they do. Abuna touched upon that. Get to know what they like. Get to know what bands they listen to. Get to know their friends. Be involved. Work is not the important thing. Your interest is not important. The most important thing the most important job that you have is being a parent. This is the most important job that God has given you. Be involved in everything. Show an interest, a genuine interest. They would love to have your interest. They want you to be involved. You need to take a chance to be involved. Spend as much time with them as possible. Be informed. Ask them to give you details with love. You need to know everything, every single detail. Be clear. When you give instructions, you need to be clear. It cannot be ambiguous. And you need to be both on the same wavelength, mom and dad. You cannot have this tug because the kids get the confused final product. Dad is a bit lenient, mom is a bit strict. Dad is a bit too rough, mom is a bit too kind of easy with that. So I'm just going to do what I want. So you need to agree. You sit down and agree on every single thing. Because when you have this rift, when you have this crack, the kids will run through this crack and do whatever they want. So you have to be involved and informed. You have to be in unison and clear together. And be authoritative. You need to be having this era of being a parent. You need to do that. I was talking to a group from St. Mary, St. John. It was a group of St. Mary last year or a year before, and I was telling them, you need to be able to have access to your kids' passwords, at least until a certain age. You need to tell them, please, I need to be able to protect you. I need to know your passwords. And then a dad lifted up his hand from the corner and says, can you please come and tell them that? Because I can't. He's not afraid of them. He doesn't want to be not loved. And your job, as much as we want, is not to be loved. Your job is to parent. And every time you think of a secondary gain for yourself, I'm having kids because they make me feel good. I'm having kids because I want to be loved. I'm having kids because I want to. If there's I want to in it, then it's tinging your ability to parent. You're parenting because God has given you this responsibility. And your responsibility is a responsibility you're going to be asked about. What have you done? Have you shown them the way to the kingdom? Sports, very important. John Haidt, in his book, The Anxious Generation, specifically talks about sport. And unfortunately, as an Egyptian community, we've got nothing but soccer. Maybe even soccer is bad. We just lost 6-0 to Morocco, which is really ridiculous in the Olympics. But you really need to get the kids involved in sports. He talks about sports not just because it's going out in the sun and being active, but he talks about sports that this is a great alternative to video games. Because it teaches you to connect and discuss and having arguments. Awit wala mish awit. Fawil wala mish fawil. We change the rules. We go up, we go down, and we learn to interact together, and we learn to, sometimes you lead, sometimes you follow, sometimes you're the boss, sometimes you're the follower. You get a little bit of delayed gratification. You get a little bit of fun. You get to see what's happening. So get the kids involved in sports as much as you can. Number 4, the church. The church, and this is not, I'm not talking to you from a spiritual point of view. Spiritual point of view is given, but I'm talking to you from a psychosocial point of view. John Haidt as well says that religion, he's not religious, but he says in his book how important religion is to the social and the psychological well-being. Because in church, not only the kids that are trying to find identity and comparing the way they are and who they are with other kids, will find identity in Christ. So if you want the kids to have identity, bring them to church and reinforce that at home. If you, all of them, they want to find purpose. They don't know what they're there for. What's my purpose? To win games, video games, to do this, to do Instagram, to put posts. That's my aim in life. In church, they find a purpose. That the purpose is for us to be one with Christ for eternity. So they get their identity, they see their value, and also they find a purpose, which they cannot find. And that's why they keep chasing and keep clicking to finally find some purpose and identity that they can't. One of the interesting things that I want to enforce is, one of the things that he mentioned in his book is that the most interesting thing about combating electronic digital addiction is being involved in team sports and being involved in music bands. And that's what deaconship is about, besides the spiritual component, from a social component. So when Abuna was telling us, come, تعال ارمين في الكنيسة, it's beautiful, but encourage it to happen. The Sunday school superintendents and parents come and tell me, the parents, I come and tell, we've got a choir, and I ask the parents to come and bring the kids, and the parents say, oh, the kids don't want to, I don't know what to do. You need to get the kids to come to church and encourage them to be involved in every single thing. Every single chance that there's something, there's an outing, there is a Sunday school game, there is a choir, there is some deaconship class, involve them, because that's your safeguard. When they get connected, they get identity, they get purpose, and they get the satisfaction of being part of a team, part of the community, which they don't get outside when they are under the covers on their phone all the time. Last point is leading by example, and Abu touched on that. But leading by example does not mean, no, don't, how much screen have you had today? That's too much. And you're on your screen all the time. They want to see you with no screens. There was a study that was done by, I think, the Lancet, the Lancet Medical Journal, that shows that kids will not be able to learn a word if this discussion is interrupted by the phone, by any electronic device. They will not learn a word. So all what you're trying to teach them for 1 hour, if this 1 hour is interrupted by the phone ringing, they will not learn a word. So by example, put the phone away. Keep the phone in your bag. Don't have the phone next to you. Don't involve them in Facebook and tell them don't have Facebook. Don't celebrate their birthdays on Facebook and tell them don't have Facebook. Don't say, oh, I've put all my photos in our holidays on Facebook, and no, you're not going to have Facebook. Why do you have Facebook then? Why is it so good? You're having something so good and you're telling me not to have it. It's something, they will not be able to comprehend the problem with Facebook if it's so good to you. And if you got the phone all the time in your hand, it has to be something good. So leading by example, from a faith point of view, from a spiritual point of view, but also from a functional point of view. Put the phone away. Because this is how they learn. This is how they get to know you. This is the study that I was telling you about from Swinburne here in Melbourne. So I want you just to try to, as much as possible, try to implement these 4 or 5, which I find in my own experience helpful, and I'm sure that there's so much that the Rose will talk about and we will discuss together, but it's important to start and do it today and make a decision. Restricting, I'm not saying detox. So sometimes you will have to go to a professional. Sometimes you need, and the kids might need, a dopamine detoxing, taking the phone away completely. Sometimes you might need a tertiary intervention if you notice that they are too anxious, if they notice they are cutting, if they notice that they are losing too much weight, if they notice that they're not putting on weight because they're throwing up in the bathroom after every single meal. But the first step is to be there, be present. Don't let anything interfere in the moment. Abuna told us about present. Be in the present. When you're with them, be with them. Don't be distracted. And definitely don't be distracted by technology. This is the new term, technoference. Don't let technology interfere with you. Don't let your mind be distracted. I remember this incident, I might have told you about that a few years ago, where the kids were still young and Rasha was in the kitchen doing something or cooking, or she had her phone with her. The kids were like 5 and 6. And she heard Faith, the younger one, saying, go away, I don't like you, I don't like you. And Rasha, well, she's busy, not looking. She's saying, sorry, and a kiss. So she hears Faith saying, but mom, saying, sorry, and a kiss. She heard Faith saying, go away. So she didn't like this. So of course she has to teach her the right thing. But mom, sorry, and a kiss now. And then she hears Faith saying, okay. So Rasha finishes what she's doing. She's going out and sees her kind of, she's expecting her to kiss her sister and say sorry. She finds her chasing after the dog, wanting to grab the dog and kiss the dog because mom said so, because she was talking to the dog at the time. But Rasha, of course, thought that she was talking to her sister. Eventually, Leo, the dog, kind of got kissed against his will. But that's what happened when you're not there, you're not present. So I can see that lunch is here. So I'm going to leave it there. There's a lot to talk about and a lot to discuss and get your own kind of input into our discussion. But I've gone over my time, so I was hoping that we can do some questions, but there's no time for it. So hopefully we'll catch up. If there's, Gina, what do you think? Questions or finish off?
We can finish off now, but
Okay.
then you can bring all your questions to the panel session.
Sure.
Yeah.
And glory be to God forever.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the wake-up call, but great time for us to stop and reflect on what you just shared with us, and some great strategies that we can put in place straight away to really help support our kids, but most importantly, be a role model for our kids. Okay, we're going to break now for some lunch at the back, so please help us out. We're going to bring the kids in as well to have some lunch with us. If we can just come back by 1:50, please, to start, just because we've got a speaker that will be going in Lisbon for us, so we just want to make sure we're running a little bit on time for her. So if you can just be ready to start again at 1:50, that would be really awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.